standards of luxury. That's why there are the Continentals, the most distinctive...
Canon's 1971 Lincoln Continental Mark III wasn't just a luxury car for a plus-size detective. This massive personal luxury coupe became television's most unexpected action vehicle, driven by William Conrad through 5 seasons of car chases that defied physics and common sense. The Mark III weighed over 2 tons and had all the agility of an aircraft carrier, but Canon made it work. But why did Lincoln provide the cars for free while demanding script approval? How did a luxury coupe designed for comfort become a stunt vehicle? And what's the truth behind the rumor that the production destroyed 9 Mark IIIs during filming? These are 20 weird facts about Canon's Lincoln Continental Mark III that will blow your mind. Number 20. Lincoln provided the cars to counter Cadillac's Kojak deal. The Lincoln Continental Mark III appeared on Canon because of corporate rivalry with Cadillac. In 1971, Cadillac had just secured product placement on a new detective series called Kojak, providing their luxury sedans to star Telly Savalas. Lincoln's marketing department panicked. Cadillac was dominating television detective shows, getting valuable exposure while Lincoln had no comparable presence. When Quinn Martin Productions announced Canon, featuring a wealthy private detective, Lincoln saw their opportunity. They approached the production offering to provide Mark III coupes completely free in exchange for prominent screen time. The offer was too good to refuse. Free luxury cars would save the production tens of thousands in vehicle rental costs. Lincoln's only requirement was script approval for any scene featuring their vehicle. They wanted to ensure the Mark III was portrayed positively, never shown breaking down or being criticized. This created tension with writers who wanted dramatic vehicle failures for plot purposes. Lincoln refused to allow any scenes showing mechanical problems. The Mark III had to be portrayed as utterly reliable throughout the series. This restriction occasionally forced script rewrites when convenient breakdowns were needed for plots. The corporate rivalry with Cadillac intensified when both shows became hits. Lincoln and Cadillac competed for detective show product placement throughout the 1970s, each trying to associate their luxury brand with cool, successful characters. Canon became Lincoln's flagship television property, with the Mark III appearing prominently in advertising campaigns that emphasized the car's association with the successful, sophisticated detective. Number 19. The car weighed over 4,600 pounds. The Lincoln Continental Mark III was a behemoth, tipping the scales at 4,670 pounds in stock configuration. This made it one of the heaviest 2-door personal luxury cars ever produced. The massive weight came from the Mark III's construction philosophy: luxury through mass. Heavy gauge steel body panels, thick sound deadening, power everything, air conditioning, and a massive 460 cubic inch V8 engine all contributed to the incredible weight. The production cars were even heavier than stock. Lincoln added underbody protection plates to shield components during stunt work. Reinforced suspension components added more weight. Camera mounting equipment permanently installed inside added another 100 pounds. Some production Mark IIIs weighed nearly 5,000 pounds fully equipped. This weight created serious problems for action sequences. The heavy car couldn't accelerate quickly, despite the powerful engine. It couldn't stop rapidly, even with power disc brakes. Cornering was ponderous, with tremendous body roll and tire squeal. The Mark III felt like piloting a yacht, wallowing through turns with dramatic lean. Stunt coordinators struggled to make chase scenes exciting when the car moved with all the agility of a dump truck. They relied on camera tricks, tight editing, and dramatic music to create excitement the car couldn't generate through actual performance. The weight also destroyed tires rapidly. The heavy car would shred rear tires during any spirited acceleration. Front tires would develop flat spots from hard braking. The production went through over 200 tires during the series run, an astronomical number for just a handful of cars. Number 18. William Conrad couldn't fit comfortably in the driver's seat. William Conrad, who played Frank Cannon, was a large man standing 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighing over 250 pounds. The Mark III's driver's seat, despite being in a luxury car, couldn't accommodate him comfortably. The seat was designed for average-sized drivers, with bolsters and contouring that restricted larger occupants. Conrad found the seat painfully tight, with the side bolsters pressing into his hips and thighs. The steering wheel, even fully adjusted, sat too close to his chest. His knees would hit the bottom of the dashboard during normal driving positions. For the first season, Conrad suffered through the discomfort during filming, but by season 2, he demanded modifications. Lincoln's engineers removed the driver's seat entirely and installed a custom seat from a commercial van. This seat was wider, flatter, and had adjustable positions that could accommodate Conrad's size. The seat looked different from the stock Mark III seat, noticeably larger and less contoured. Cinematographers had to frame shots carefully to avoid showing the mismatched seat in its entirety. Close-ups focused on Conrad's upper body, avoiding the seat. Wide interior shots were filmed from angles that obscured the custom seat's appearance. The modification helped Conrad, but created new problems. The van seat sat higher than the stock seat, raising Conrad's head closer to the headliner. He would occasionally bump his head, getting in and out, visible in several episodes if you watch carefully. The higher seating position also affected sight lines through the windshield, requiring Conrad to adjust his driving posture to see properly over the hood. Number 17. The production used 5 identical cars, but only one had a working speedometer. The production maintained 5 Mark III coupes in rotation, but only one retained a functioning speedometer. The other 4 had their speedometers disconnected or removed entirely during modifications for camera equipment installation. The dashboard on the Mark III featured an elaborately styled instrument cluster, with the speedometer as the central element. Installing cameras for interior shots required removing portions of the dashboard, which damaged the speedometer mechanisms in 4 of the 5 cars. Rather than repair them, the production simply left them non-functional. Drivers of these cars had to estimate speed by engine sound and feel, occasionally assisted by crew vehicles pacing them with speed callouts. This created problems during scenes requiring specific speeds for dramatic effect. If a script called for Canon to be driving at exactly 70 miles per hour, they had to use the one car with the working speedometer. If that car was unavailable due to repairs or other filming commitments, they'd have to estimate or reschedule. The non-functioning speedometers created continuity errors occasionally. Close-up shots of the dashboard would show the speedometer needle at different positions between cuts because different cars were being used. Sharp-eyed viewers noticed the speedometer jumping from 50 to 70, then back to 40 within a single scene. The production received letters pointing out these inconsistencies, but they never publicly acknowledged using multiple cars or explained the speedometer situation. The single working speedometer car became known among crew as the real Canon car, even though all 5 appeared on screen interchangeably. Number 16. The Mark III's suspension collapsed during a jump stunt. The Lincoln's suspension was designed for smooth highway cruising, not stunt work. This became dramatically clear during a Season 2 chase scene that required the Mark III to jump over a raised section of road. The script called for Canon to pursue a suspect, driving over a hump at high speed. Stunt coordinators calculated the jump would be mild, with the car becoming briefly airborne before landing smoothly. They underestimated the Mark III's weight. The nearly 5,000-pound car hit the jump at 45 miles per hour and went airborne, as planned. But the landing was catastrophic. The suspension compressed violently, bottoming out with tremendous force. Both rear shock absorbers shattered, with their pistons punching through the shock bodies. The rear springs compressed flat, then rebounded, causing the rear of the car to bounce uncontrollably. The driver fought for control as the rear end hopped and skittered. The car finally stopped after careening across both lanes. Inspection revealed extensive damage. Both rear shocks were destroyed. The rear springs had taken a permanent set, losing their tension. The rear axle housing was cracked. The frame showed stress cracks near the rear shock mounts. The trunk floor had buckled upward from the impact force. The damage totaled over $6,000, more than the car's purchase price. Lincoln was furious. They'd provided cars for positive exposure, not to see them destroyed in reckless stunts. They demanded script approval be expanded to include all action sequences, not just dialogue scenes. Future stunts required Lincoln engineering approval before filming, dramatically limiting what the production could attempt with the Mark III. Number 15. The car had 3 different paint colors throughout the series.
I'm Lou with another episode of My Car Story. And today, we're out in...
The Mark III appeared in 3 distinct paint colors during Canon's run, though the production hoped viewers wouldn't notice. The original cars were copper moondust, a brown metallic color Lincoln offered in 1971. This color photographed well on the early 70s television technology, providing good contrast and visual interest. But by season 3, all the original copper moondust cars were either destroyed, heavily damaged, or showing severe paint wear. Lincoln provided replacement cars in dark red, the closest available color to the original. The production hoped the similar earth tones would be close enough that viewers wouldn't notice. They were wrong. Fan letters arrived immediately questioning why Canon's car had changed color. The production issued a statement claiming different lighting conditions made the same car appear different colors, which was technically true but misleading. Season 4 brought another color change. Lincoln discontinued both previous colors and could only provide new cars in saddle bronze, a lighter, more golden brown. This color was noticeably different from both previous shades. More letters arrived. The production gave up on explanations and simply ignored the color inconsistencies. By season 5, the production had Mark IIIs in all 3 colors operating simultaneously. They'd use whichever car was available, regardless of color matching. Single episodes sometimes showed the car changing colors between scenes. The color inconsistencies became a running joke among production crew. They'd place bets on whether viewers would notice particularly egregious color changes within episodes. Most viewers apparently didn't notice or didn't care enough to complain about continuity beyond the initial color change.
Number 14. The interior was modified to hide camera equipment.
Here now.
Yeah, and what a marvelous thing to get your car back out all these years.
The Mark III's luxurious interior was extensively modified to accommodate hidden cameras for filming. The production wanted interior dialogue shots without external horrors pressed against windows. They needed cameras inside the car that could capture Conrad's performance while remaining invisible on screen. Custom fabricators hollowed out the passenger seat, creating a compartment large enough for a small camera. The seat's upholstery was split along a seam, allowing the camera lens to peek through while remaining hidden from most angles. This camera could shoot across the interior, capturing Conrad's profile and reactions during dialogue scenes. The center console was replaced with a hollow, fiberglass replica containing another camera position. This camera could shoot forward through the windshield or upward at Conrad's face from a low angle. The rear package shelf, behind the rear seat, was modified to hold a third camera position for shooting over Conrad's shoulder toward the windshield. These modifications gutted much of the Mark III's interior luxury features. The passenger seat was no longer functional for sitting. The center console lost its storage compartments and armrest functionality. The package shelf couldn't hold items without crushing camera equipment. The camera-modified cars were unusable as actual luxury vehicles, transformed into mobile filming platforms disguised as cars. Lincoln hated these modifications. They had provided beautiful luxury cars, and the production had turned them into camera trucks. But the modifications were necessary for the interior shots that gave Canon its distinctive visual style. The trade-off between luxury and functionality was complete.
Number 13. The Mark III's wheelbase made U-turns nearly impossible.
The Lincoln Continental Mark III had a wheelbase of 117.9 inches, giving it a turning radius of nearly 44 feet. This meant U-turns required enormous space, far more than typical city streets provided. The long wheelbase and heavy weight created a car that turned like a cruise ship, requiring advanced planning and tremendous space for direction changes. This limitation severely restricted filming locations. The production couldn't film chase scenes in narrow city streets because the Mark III physically couldn't navigate tight corners. They were forced to use wide boulevards, parking lots, and specially selected locations with generous turning radius. Several scripts had to be rewritten when location scouts determined the Mark III couldn't physically navigate areas the script required. One season, 3 episode originally featured a chase through a warehouse district with narrow alleys. Location scouts determined the Mark III couldn't fit through the alleys, much less turn corners. The entire sequence was rewritten for a different location. The turning limitations also affected simple shots. 3-point turns took enormous time and space. Parallel parking was nearly impossible without extensive back-and-forth maneuvering. Simple driveway entrances required careful approach angles or multiple attempts. Stunt drivers developed specialized techniques for making the ungainly Mark III appear more maneuverable than it was. They'd use camera angles that hid the extensive space required for turns. They'd use editing to make multi-point turns appear as smooth single maneuvers. They'd film at locations specifically chosen for their generous space. The Mark III's poor maneuverability became the production's constant constraint, limiting creativity and requiring continuous compromises.
Number 12. The car's air conditioning couldn't keep up during summer filming.
Back in that time frame, look at the back seat, how that folds down.
The Mark III featured Lincoln's most powerful air conditioning system, but it was inadequate for filming conditions. The problem wasn't the system's capacity, but rather the filming requirements. Normal air conditioning use involved closed windows and continuous operation. Filming required repeatedly opening doors and windows between takes, allowing heat to enter. The constant thermal cycling overwhelmed the system. During summer filming in Los Angeles, exterior temperatures would exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The car's dark paint absorbed solar heat, raising interior temperatures even higher. Between takes, doors would open for Conrad to exit, letting out all cooled air. Production assistants would climb in and out, delivering scripts and making adjustments. Each entry released cool air and admitted heat. The air conditioning would struggle to recover before the next take. Conrad suffered terribly during summer filming. The modified seat didn't breathe like the original leather, trapping heat and moisture. He'd emerge from the car drenched in sweat after each take. Makeup artists would need to blot his face and reapply powder constantly. Some takes were ruined by visible sweat stains spreading across Conrad's shirt during filming. The production tried various solutions. They'd run the air conditioning at maximum during setup, trying to supercool the interior before filming. They'd place portable fans in the car between takes. They'd schedule interior car scenes during cooler morning or evening hours when possible. Nothing completely solved the problem. Summer interior car scenes remained miserable for Conrad, who endured the heat as part of the job. Number 11. The production installed commercial truck brakes for safety.
And everything that people don't want to work. The regular shop don't have time to work on your...
The Mark III's factory brakes were inadequate for hard use during filming. Despite having power front disc brakes, the system was designed for luxury car driving patterns, not repeated hard stops from high speeds. After several close calls where the brakes faded dangerously during chase scenes, the production made radical modifications. They installed brake components from Ford commercial trucks. The front rotors were replaced with much larger, thicker units from F-250 trucks. The brake calipers were upgraded to heavy-duty 4-piston units designed for towing and commercial use. The brake master cylinder was replaced with a larger unit providing more hydraulic pressure. The rear drum brakes were replaced with disc brakes from the same truck platform. These modifications transformed the Mark III's braking performance. The heavy car could now stop repeatedly from high speeds without fading. The improved brakes provided confidence for stunt drivers who no longer feared brake failure during action sequences. But the modifications created new problems. The truck brake components were designed for heavier vehicles with different weight distributions. The front brakes were now overpowered relative to the rear, creating a tendency for the rear wheels to lock during hard braking. Several spins occurred before drivers learned to modulate brake pressure carefully. The larger rotors also required custom wheels with more clearance. The production had to source special wheels that looked similar to stock but provided the needed space. The brake modifications cost approximately $3,000 per car but were considered essential for safety. The improved braking possibly prevented serious accidents during the demanding chase filming. Number 10. The Mark III's vinyl roof peeled off during high-speed filming.
We are the generation that's gonna touch that shiny bubble with our own shoe.
The Lincoln Continental Mark III's signature vinyl roof became a recurring production nightmare during high-speed filming. The vinyl top was a luxury feature Lincoln marketed heavily, giving the Mark III its distinctive formal appearance. The roof covering was glued to the metal roof panel using industrial adhesive designed for normal driving conditions. But high-speed filming created wind forces the vinyl wasn't designed to withstand. During a season, one chase scene filmed at 65 miles per hour. Wind caught the edge of the vinyl roof and began peeling it backward. The adhesive failed progressively, with the vinyl lifting and flapping like a flag. The driver couldn't stop mid-scene, so filming continued with the vinyl roof disintegrating in real time. The footage was unusable, and the car required complete vinyl roof replacement costing $800. The production tried various solutions to prevent recurrence. They used stronger adhesive formulations, but these made the vinyl brittle and prone to cracking. They added hidden screws around the roof perimeter, but these created visible dimples that looked terrible on camera. They tried applying the vinyl in smaller sections with more seams, but seams were visible and looked cheap. The final solution was preventive replacement. Every 3 months, the vinyl roofs on all production cars were completely removed and replaced with fresh vinyl, regardless of condition. This cost approximately $4,000 annually, but prevented mid-filming failures. The frequent replacements meant the vinyl always looked perfect on camera, but consumed resources far beyond what Lincoln had anticipated when providing the cars. Number 9, William Conrad did his own driving against production rules.
Later, and you came to America, and you saw this car, you wanted to get one, so...
William Conrad was contractually prohibited from driving the Mark III during filming, but he repeatedly violated this restriction. Studio insurance policies explicitly forbade lead actors from driving during action sequences or any potentially dangerous situations. Conrad was supposed to sit in the passenger seat during driving shots, with a stunt driver operating the vehicle. Close-ups were filmed separately, with the car stationary or on a towed trailer. But Conrad was an experienced driver who enjoyed operating the massive Lincoln. He felt he could drive competently for simple scenes that didn't require stunts. During breaks and between setups, Conrad would convince stunt coordinators to let him drive for just simple shots. His enthusiasm and forceful personality made it difficult for the crew to refuse. Conrad drove in dozens of scenes throughout the series, technically violating insurance restrictions. He was capable enough that most of his driving looked natural and professional, but he wasn't a professional stunt driver, and his limitations occasionally showed. In one Season 4 episode, Conrad misjudged a turn radius, running the Mark III over a curb. In another scene, he braked too hard, causing visible tire smoke that wasn't intended. These mistakes required reshoots and cost production time. When insurance auditors reviewed footage and identified Conrad driving, they demanded the practice stop immediately. The production received stern warnings about policy violations and potential coverage cancellation. Conrad reluctantly agreed to limit his driving, but crew members later confirmed he continued sneaking driving opportunities whenever management wasn't watching closely. Number 8, the car's fuel tank held 24 gallons but got 6 miles per gallon.
Dripping underneath the car, so the frame and the floors were gone.
The frame and
The Mark III's fuel economy was catastrophic, even by 1970s standards. The massive 460 cubic inch V8 engine combined with 4,600 pound weight and primitive emissions controls created a vehicle that consumed fuel at an alarming rate. Under normal driving, the Mark III achieved approximately 10 miles per gallon. During filming conditions, consumption increased dramatically. The constant idling during setup and between takes wasted fuel without accumulating mileage. Full throttle acceleration for action scenes consumed fuel at rates as low as 3 miles per gallon. The average across all filming conditions was approximately 6 miles per gallon. The 24-gallon fuel tank meant the car had a range of only 144 miles during filming use. The production constantly struggled with fuel logistics. Cars would run dry during filming sessions, requiring refueling that wasted valuable production time. The production began keeping fuel trucks on location for quick refills. During one particularly fuel-intensive week of chase scene filming, the 5 production cars consumed over 300 gallons of gasoline. At 1973 prices during the oil crisis, fuel costs became a significant budget item. The production accountants calculated they spent over $8,000 annually just on gasoline for the Mark IIIs. This didn't include fuel for camera trucks, support vehicles, and generators. Lincoln was embarrassed by the terrible fuel economy becoming associated with their vehicle. During the 1973 oil crisis, when fuel economy became a national concern, they considered withdrawing their cars from the show to avoid negative publicity about gas-guzzling luxury vehicles. Number 7, the production added 50 pounds of ballast to the trunk for traction.
So wonderful that you found the car that your dad brought home.
That is correct.
Thanks for being...
The Mark III's weight distribution was heavily front-biased due to the massive engine. approximately 60% of the car's weight sat over the front wheels, leaving the rear wheels relatively unloaded. This created traction problems during acceleration, especially on loose or wet surfaces. The heavy car would spin the rear tires uselessly while barely moving forward. Stunt coordinators tried various techniques to improve traction. Different tire compounds helped slightly, but weren't a complete solution. Reducing tire pressure increased contact patch, but risked tire damage. The solution was adding ballast weight to the trunk. Fabricators created steel plates weighing 50 pounds total, positioned over the rear axle to maximize weight transfer to the rear wheels. The added weight improved traction noticeably. The rear tires gripped better during acceleration, reducing tire spin and improving launch performance. But 50 pounds was a compromise. More weight would have helped traction further, but would have worsened the already poor fuel economy and sluggish acceleration. The ballast plates became permanent fixtures in all production cars. They were painted black and bolted to the trunk floor, invisible unless someone specifically looked for them. The added weight contributed to rear suspension problems, accelerating wear on shocks and springs. But the improved traction was deemed worth the trade-offs. The ballasted Mark IIIs could accelerate more dramatically for chase scenes, making the heavy car appear more capable than physics would normally allow. Number 6. The doors were so heavy they required 2 people to close properly.
I thought that my friends will see me in the back seat.
The Mark III's doors were enormously heavy, each weighing over 100 pounds due to thick steel construction, heavy glass, and extensive sound deadening. The doors were designed to close with a solid vault-like thunk that communicated quality and luxury. But this required significant force to close properly. William Conrad could close the doors when fresh, but after hours of filming, his strength was depleted. Repeatedly getting in and out of the car during filming was exhausting. Opening and closing the heavy doors dozens of times per day wore him out. By late afternoon, Conrad would struggle to close the door firmly enough to latch. He'd pull it shut, but it would bounce back slightly, not engaging the latch. He'd have to pull harder, sometimes requiring 2 or 3 attempts. This created delays during filming, as cameras waited for Conrad to successfully close the door. The production assigned a crew member specifically to assist with door closing. This person would stand just off camera, ready to help push the door closed when Conrad's strength wasn't sufficient. Sometimes they'd close the door entirely, while Conrad's hand rested on the handle, creating the illusion he was closing it himself. Guest actors unfamiliar with the door weight would struggle even more. Some would pull the door with both hands, looking awkward and unnatural. Others would barely get it moving, requiring obvious crew assistance. The heavy doors were a luxury feature that became a production liability, requiring constant accommodation and creating minor delays throughout filming. Modern luxury cars use lighter materials and door pull-down mechanisms that solve this problem, but the Mark III's solid construction made its doors formidable obstacles. Number 5. The car's electronic fuel injection system failed constantly.
Look at the back seat, how that folds down. And I just want to show you, these fold up.
The 1971 Lincoln Mark III didn't have electronic fuel injection, but the production installed an aftermarket system to improve reliability and performance. The factory carburetor was temperamental and difficult to tune for the varied filming conditions. The production consulted with performance specialists who recommended Bosch electronic fuel injection adapted from European sports cars. The installation was complex and expensive, costing over $2,000 per car. The system theoretically provided better throttle response, more consistent performance, and improved cold starting compared to carburetors. Initially, the fuel injection worked well. The car started reliably and ran smoothly, but the aftermarket installation had numerous compatibility problems with the Mark III's electrical system. The fuel injection computer conflicted with the factory ignition system. Sensors failed from vibration and heat. Wiring connections corroded from moisture. Within 6 months, the fuel injection systems were failing regularly. Cars would stall unexpectedly during filming. They'd refuse to start when needed. Throttle response would become an erratic mid-scene. The fuel injection problems became more troublesome than the original carburetor issues they were meant to solve. Mechanics spent countless hours troubleshooting electrical gremlins in the fuel injection systems. They'd fix one problem only to have another emerge. By season 3, the production gave up on fuel injection. They removed all the aftermarket systems and reinstalled factory carburetors. The carburetors were temperamental, but at least they were predictable and mechanics understood them. The fuel injection experiment cost over $15,000 and countless hours of frustration before being abandoned as a failed modernization attempt. Number 4. The production destroyed 7 Mark IIIs during the series run. The production destroyed or damaged beyond repair 7 Lincoln Continental Mark IIIs during Cannon's 5 seasons. This destruction rate shocked Lincoln's executives who'd provided cars expecting normal wear and tear, not wholesale destruction. The first total loss occurred during the suspension collapse jump in Season 2. The car was deemed unrepairable after the frame damage and was scrapped. The second loss was a rollover stunt that crushed the roof and twisted the frame beyond economical repair. The third was destroyed in a fire scene when a pyrotechnic effect got out of control, engulfing the car in flames. The fourth was totaled in a head-on collision stunt where the Mark III hit a barrier at higher speed than planned. The fifth suffered irreparable electrical fire damage from faulty wiring in the modified interior. The sixth was destroyed when a stunt driver lost control during a wet weather chase scene, crashing into a concrete wall. The seventh and final destruction occurred during the series finale in a spectacular crash sequence. Each destroyed Mark III represented approximately $8,000 in lost vehicle value, plus the thousands invested in modifications. The 7 cars totaled over $70,000 in destruction, far exceeding what Lincoln had budgeted for the product placement program. Lincoln demanded the production pay for replacement vehicles after the 4th destruction. The production grudgingly agreed, purchasing used Mark IIIs from private owners and dealers. Finding replacement vehicles became increasingly difficult as the Mark III aged and depreciated. The destroyed cars were mostly scrapped, with some salvaged for parts to keep remaining vehicles operational. Number 3. William Conrad attempted to buy his favorite car, but it was destroyed. William Conrad developed a strong attachment to one particular Mark III, chassis number 7 Y89G800123, which he drove most frequently during filming. This car had been modified to his preferences with the custom van seat and specific steering wheel position. Conrad felt comfortable in this car and requested it whenever possible for filming. During the final season, Conrad approached the production about purchasing the car when the series ended. He wanted to keep it as a memento and continue driving the vehicle he'd become fond of. The production agreed in principle, quoting him a price of $4,000, reasonable for a well-used Mark III. Conrad agreed to the purchase and planned to complete the transaction after filming wrapped. But during the final weeks of production, disaster struck. The car Conrad wanted was being used for a background shot in a parking lot scene. The scene didn't require the car to move, just be visible parked. Between takes, a grip accidentally bumped the shifter, putting the car in neutral. The parking lot had a slight slope. The car began rolling slowly, unnoticed at first. By the time someone saw it moving, the car was gathering speed. It rolled across the parking lot and crashed into a concrete loading dock. The impact crushed the entire front end, destroying the engine, radiator, and front suspension. The damage was so severe the car was totaled. Conrad was devastated when informed his favorite car had been destroyed in a freak accident. The production offered him a different Mark III at the same price, but Conrad declined. He wanted that specific car and wouldn't accept a substitute. Number 2, the surviving cars were sold as scrap for $300 each. When Cannon ended in 1976, the surviving Mark IIIs were in terrible condition. 5 years of hard use, modifications, and minimal maintenance had left them barely functional. The production company owned 3 remaining cars outright and wanted to dispose of them quickly. They contacted used car dealers but received no interest. The modified, high-mileage Mark IIIs with questionable histories weren't attractive to dealers. The production tried selling to collectors but found no interest there either. In the mid-70s, 1971 cars weren't old enough to be collectible antiques, but were too old to be desirable used cars. They existed in a value dead zone. The cars' modifications made them even less desirable. The gutted interiors, custom seats, and modified brakes made them unsuitable for normal use. Restoring them to stock would cost more than the cars were worth. The production ended up selling all 3 survivors to a scrap metal dealer for $300 each. The dealer planned to crush them for scrap metal value, maybe $1,000 per car after crushing. Before crushing, the dealer stripped any valuable components. The engines were pulled and sold to rebuilders. The transmissions were salvaged. Aluminum parts were separated for higher scrap value. The stripped shells were then crushed into compact cubes. The 3 survivors of Cannon's fleet were destroyed not in dramatic stunts, but in an inglorious scrapyard crash. Their television history meant nothing to the scrap dealer, who saw only 900 pounds of steel worth pennies per pound. The survivors' fate demonstrated how little value television cars held once production ended. Number 1. A replica was built in 2010 and sold for $85,000. None of the original Cannon Mark IIIs survived, but in 2010, a dedicated fan built an exact replica from a donor 1971 Lincoln. The builder, a California television memorabilia collector, researched production documents and interviewed former crew members to determine exact specifications. He sourced a genuine 1971 Mark III in the correct copper moondust color as a starting point. The replica project took 3 years and cost over $40,000. The builder painstakingly recreated every detail from the television car. He installed the commercial truck brakes, researching their exact specifications. He replicated the vinyl roof replacements using period-correct materials. He even recreated the custom van seat from Conrad's car, using photographs as reference. The camera equipment installations were simulated using dummy equipment that looked correct but wasn't functional. The attention to detail was extraordinary. The builder sourced correct date Lincoln parts, tracked down period-appropriate modifications, and consulted with original production crew members to ensure accuracy. When completed, the replica was virtually indistinguishable from the original production crews. The builder displayed it at automotive events and television memorabilia shows, where it attracted tremendous attention. Cannon fans were thrilled to see the iconic car in person. In 2015, the builder decided to sell. The replica was auctioned at a Hollywood memorabilia event with extensive documentation of its construction and provenance. The bidding was intense among television car collectors. The final price reached $85,000, nearly 10 times what the original cars sold for as scrap. The astronomical price demonstrated how values had changed. What was worthless scrap in 1976 became priceless memorabilia 4 decades later. Cannon's Lincoln Continental Mark III proved that television's heaviest detective needed television's heaviest car. From 4,600 pounds of luxury to 7 destroyed vehicles to commercial truck brakes, this massive coupe survived 5 seasons through constant modifications and compromises. Frank Cannon didn't just drive a Lincoln, he piloted a 2-ton monument to excess.